Hello, and welcome to A Postdoc's Journal, the show that takes you through my journey into and eventually out of academia as a postdoctoral research scientist. My name is Simit Patel. Hello, thank you very much for joining me. Welcome back to those of you who may have listened to the show before, and a very warm welcome to those of you who may be joining for the very first time. If you don't already know, this podcast is based on my own personal journal. In each episode, I read out a journal entry from 11 or 12 years ago, back when I was working in academia as a postdoc, as a research scientist. Then I reflect on it, I analyze it, I try to make sense of it, and I share my thoughts with you today with the benefit of hindsight. If you are someone who can relate to things like imposter syndrome, loneliness, and mental health issues in the workplace, whether you're in academia or not, I hope that by sharing my own personal experience with you, it helps you to feel a little bit less alone. In today's episode, we jump to April 2014, well into my third year of my postdoc. This is another airport journal entry. There's just something about traveling that makes me want to journal. I was in Amsterdam at the time, probably catching a connecting flight between Germany and the UK. I was on my way to a conference and then some holidays. This journal entry has a real mix of emotions in it, from deep childhood issues that were being triggered in me to feeling hopeful and excited about the future. This was pretty close to my 29th birthday, and I know I always tend to get a bit more reflective and introspective around my birthday, so maybe that explains it. Before I read out the journal entry, if you've listened to the show before and you've liked it and you found it interesting, I would really appreciate it if you could take just 1 minute of your time to leave a review or some stars or hearts or thumbs or whatever you use to show your appreciation wherever you are listening to this. If you normally subscribe and follow things, please subscribe and follow this podcast too. I've also started a Reddit channel where you can join the conversation. Links to everything are in the show notes. So have a listen now to the reading, and I'll be back with you at the end to share some thoughts after over a decade of hindsight. Enjoy. April 2014. I'm at Amsterdam Airport, flying back to the UK. I'm going to a conference in Newcastle, Ecological Genetics Meeting. It's been ages since I've been to a conference. I always walk away from them feeling more motivated, feeling part of a community. So hopefully I'll get some of my motivation back and feel like I'm worth something again. Things are okay otherwise. I still haven't made much progress in terms of my academic career. I'm still disillusioned about my future in academia. I'm getting closer to publishing that snail paper. Realistically, I'll be done mid to late May. As far as fighting for my academic career is concerned, working on the timescales I'm working on at the pace I'm comfortable with is unacceptable. I'm sure I'll eventually be told that the way I'm working just is not good enough. I know for a fact that I'm not good enough, so at least I'm prepared for being told that again. I'll be so happy when I can just focus on the fish project again. That is when I was happiest. One thing I've been doing more of lately is helping and advising other people. I've been giving the new PhD student lots of guidance on pool sequencing, and I've been helping another PhD student with NGS stuff in general. Plus, another postdoc and a professor came to me for pool sequencing and GBS advice. I'm actually happy doing what I'm doing, the way I'm doing it. By my own standards, I feel satisfied with the way I'm working. When I think about it this way, continuing to work in academia makes absolute sense. I would love to be able to just ignore my boss's advice and opinion on the matter. Staying true to myself and working and performing in a way that's good enough for me, not working in a way that's good enough for someone else, is more important to me than anything else. Anyway, I'm actually quite looking forward to how things will unfold in the next few weeks and months. This week, conference. Then seeing an old friend in Nottingham and seeing my family in London. Then I'll get back to Frankfurt and have a day off on Easter Monday. Then I'll get back to work, make changes to the snail paper, have it done by the end of April, and send it to the other authors. By then, I would have downloaded all the fish data from BGI's website and done all the QC checks. Then I can play with the new reference genome. I can run a test alignment, run QualiMap and SAMstats to see if the improper pairing problem has been fixed. Then it's full-scale bioinformatic analysis of the data. I can spend most of May playing around with population 2, and the snail paper will be fully submitted by the end of May too. Socially, there are a few gigs and housewarming parties to look forward to. My brother is coming to visit in May, in time for an improv gig. I suppose June is a little unknown at this stage. I expect to be more fulfilled and satisfied by then. I'm enjoying working with my boss less and less, to be honest. Lately, I've been seeing more things that I don't like. Whenever I disagree with him, he responds by barking louder and becoming more irritable. I'm quite invested in Frankfurt now too. Too invested to leave just yet. So I guess staying in Frankfurt is my best option for now. If, hopefully when my contract finally gets extended, I can start to make choices about the rest of my life again. Okay, thank you very much for listening to that. As usual, I've written down some thoughts after reading that back and hearing that back. There are actually quite a few positive things to reflect on in this one, so that makes for a nice change of pace. But there was one thing that stood out to me that actually made me really uncomfortable to listen back to. I wrote a line that said, "I know for a fact that I'm not good enough." Yeah, so there's quite a lot to unpick there, so let's get into it. Before we get into the reflection, I want to ask you a quick question. Do you ever worry about your paper being rejected because the English isn't good enough? One thing I've always been good at is writing, but I know not everyone finds that easy. Perhaps English isn't your first language, or for some reason, the words you write just don't quite capture what you want to say. Good English can enhance your scientific credibility, increase the chance of your article being accepted, and speed up the peer review process. Whether you're a research scientist, a scientific writer, or part of a dynamic biotech company, I want to help you with my professional copy editing and proofreading services for scientific English. Enhancing the clarity and precision of writing has been an integral part of my professional life in academia and in the biotech industry for over a decade. If you need a native English speaker with a solid scientific background and a professional certification in proofreading to refine and polish your writing, I would love to help you. Please visit simitpatel.com, that's simitpatel.com for more information. Thank you, and now back to the show. So believe it or not, this was actually the first conference that I actually attended during my postdoc. A few years before, during my PhD, I had such a positive experience attending conferences. I made some really great friends, I gained a lot of confidence. I discovered that some of my strengths were in attending conferences and networking. As I said in the reading, I usually walked away from conferences feeling more motivated. It was that sense of connection to other people that I had something in common with, and other people that were just in a similar situation to me, and that sense of community that drives. As I've gotten older and I've progressed more in my career, not just in academia, but after I left academia too, I felt like I'd gotten further and further away from that sense of community. I think this is becoming more of a societal problem. I feel like we've perhaps become more and more individualized as a species in modern Western society. And we are social animals. We evolved to function in a community. That was our best way of surviving. So I think this is another one of those fundamental human needs, along with safety and connection to others. So conferences make a lot of evolutionary sense. So it is a bit sad that I didn't lean into those strengths during my postdoc. I think I got so obsessed with having to publish on a short timeline that I thought, right, I need to just not bother with all these other things I'm good at and I enjoy, and I've got to put all those resources into trying to do research, trying to publish, trying to write grants, trying to do an impossible amount of work in a short amount of time. And yeah, that's a big shame. That's a big regret of mine. So at this point in this journal entry, I seem to have reached a state of acceptance about this belief that I'm not good enough, or I was not good enough. I wrote a line, and I'll say it again. I know for a fact that I'm not good enough. Now, this is one coping strategy, to give in or to surrender to those negative judgments from others and from myself. That's just one way of dealing with things. Another coping mechanism is avoidance, where you end up procrastinating or distracting yourself because confronting this belief just makes you too uncomfortable. Or you could end up overcompensating, where you try extra hard to prove this belief is not true. And of course, you might end up burning yourself out. Neither one of these approaches, acceptance, avoidance, or overcompensation, is necessarily right or wrong. They can actually all be useful in their own way, and they can also potentially be very harmful in their own way. Rather than actively choosing one over the other, it's really just more important to recognize which coping mechanism that you're using at any given moment and reframe the narrative if necessary. In my case, in this journal entry, I was coping by accepting this belief that I wasn't good enough. The message that I was getting from my boss, from academia in general, and from that judgmental voice inside my own head was that I'm not capable of working the way I need to be working. I'm not fast enough. I don't know what to focus on. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't think the way I need to think. The problem is fundamentally about how my brain is wired and inherently with me. That's what I believed at the time. On one level, this was actually useful for me. By accepting it, it somehow resolved the issue in my mind and freed my mind up to think about other things. It was like that problem didn't need me to think about it anymore, so it was done and dealt with. I accept it, and I could move on. In fact, I was actually writing about much more positive things in this journal entry, and I think acceptance helped me to do that. In the long term, however, it was probably quite damaging for me to reinforce this belief that I wasn't good enough. This embedded this idea, this belief, deeper into my psyche, and it made it much harder for me to learn much later on in life that I am actually good enough. I'm just good enough in other ways that matter much more. If I had the knowledge that I have now, I probably would have reframed this narrative more than I actually did in this journal entry. Instead of making such a general statement like, I'm not good enough, it would have been better for me to say, I don't appear to be good in the very specific way that academia seems to need me to be good, and that's fine. I don't have to be good at everything. There are lots of things that I haven't even tried yet, and surely there is some other way or some other line of work where I can apply my talents. That would have been a much more healthy form of acceptance. I think what makes me feel sad about reading that back in my journal from more than 10 years ago is that I still experience those same sorts of thoughts today. Most of the time, I feel like I've come really far with my mental health journey and my emotional health. But it's moments like this that make me realize that in some ways I haven't made much progress at all. This year in particular, in 2025, I have struggled a lot with a lot of those judgmental thoughts. And they trigger the same feelings of anxiety and sadness in me today, exactly the same as when I wrote this journal entry. I think what's interesting is that those judgmental thoughts that I have today are basically the same. It's just the context is different. Back then, it was about my perceived inability to write papers and grants and to be successful in academia. Today, those judgmental thoughts about other things not related to academia at all. I guess this means that academia, as stressful an environment as it was never actually the real cause of the problem. I can swap out one stressful environment for another stressful environment, and the thoughts would still be the same. The judgments would still be the same. I'm not saying academia is not a broken system with a misguided and outdated set of values. It absolutely is. But I'm saying when you combine that shitty working environment with a deeply ingrained belief that you are not good enough, that can lead to a lot of mental health issues. On a more positive note, at least I was thinking more about things that were actually making me happy. I was enjoying learning and doing bioinformatics analysis. I was enjoying advising other people and generally just being of value to other students and professors in the department. I think I actually made a good point that very accurately summarizes how I felt and how I still feel today. I said that I wanted to work and judge my own success by my own standards, not by someone else's standards. I honestly just wanted to stay still and just keep my head down and do the work that I enjoyed and just let myself develop at my own pace. Unfortunately, those are not the rules of the game when working in academia. Staying still and just being happy with what you're doing is just not an option. I'm quite glad to hear myself develop my own philosophy on work and what I actually wanted to do for a job. Solidifying what was actually important to me was actually a really important stepping stone in my career development that ultimately led to me leaving academia and going on to do much better things that I was much more suited to. I actually ended this entry sounding quite hopeful. I was looking forward to lots of things, work-wise and socially. And that's really nice to hear that, to be honest. I'm glad I took the time to record the more positive moments in my journal. It reminds me of the other times where I felt excited about the weekend or the months in front of me. For some reason, those moments seem to be easy to forget. I think things were getting a bit more tense between myself and my boss. I remember there were some incidents where I really disagreed with his approach. I think that's just normal and just what happens in any working relationship, especially when you get to know each other much better. In the end, I have to say the good outweighed the bad with my boss, which today I'm actually really grateful for. So there you have it. I think one theme that seems to be emerging for me as I put this whole podcast together is that I'm realizing more and more that perhaps the pressure to publish and all the other shitty things that make up the broken academic system are not fully to blame for all the problems I was experiencing. I guess I've always thought of myself as a victim of that system. I've always viewed academia as like a bad relationship that I escaped from. In many ways, it was. But the whole truth is that there are a lot of deeper problems inside me that were being triggered by that environment. Fundamental beliefs like, I'm not good enough and I'm not okay the way I am. I finished this journal entry saying that I was expecting to be more fulfilled in June. Oh, how wrong I was. The next episode is from June 2014. I talk very candidly about my experience of depression. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope that was helpful for you in some way and valuable. Until next time, please be kind to yourself.
Brood about it, brood until the day, one day I will find the words to say.
Thanks again for listening to A Postdoc's Journal. I've been your host, Simit Patel. If you've enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others who you think might find it helpful and interesting. You could also leave a review over at Podchaser or on Apple Podcasts. If you can relate to anything in this episode, or if you have your own take on that journal entry, I would love to hear from you. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Blue Sky, or Reddit. Links to all my social media are in the show notes. Thanks again.